Hey guys, this is Anthony Palmer from the Family Psychology class. My topic today is something that is near and dear to my heart. I'm an American Indian male, and there are ways that in the past my ancestors have used to de stress, and ways that are currently being used by youth and adolescents to de stress, and that is using alcohol as a way to de-stress. Now, the topic and my proposal is to share with you, the viewers, alternate ways that my culture, the American Indian culture, can de-stress that does not involve alcohol. Now, I propose to explain a variety of ways and a psychological construct that has helped me throughout my research of different ways that the White Mountain Apache people um, can can de-stress. Maybe some reasons why they turn to alcohol in the first place. Um, Now, my campaign is for the viewers right now, and it's also, I hope to get it out to my family who is out in White Mountain Apache, on the White Mountain Apache Indian Reservation in Arizona, um, uh, in real time, in current time. I'm going to use whatever sources, whatever credits I can, including family members who work for the tribal government, family members who work for the government, and any other members who are there who know firsthand of what it's like to be in a stressful environment and to learn how to cope with being in the stressful environment. Now, this is important to myself and my culture. I know firsthand the negative effects that alcohol can have on the body and on the family. My dad is an alcoholic, recovering alcoholic for 37 years, and he turned to alcohol because he didn't know what else he could use to turn to. Work and trade weren't really an option at that point, so alcohol was just about the only thing that he could use. There was different type of stresses that he had, which involved caring for his abused mother, lack of paternal involvement because his father died at a very early age. My dad was probably in his 20s when my grandfather passed away from alcohol poisoning, and all of his relatives turned to alcohol as well. I mean, it's very easy to obtain on the reservation. Uh, you don't necessarily need the expensive stuff to be able to feel the effects of the drug. So it's really easy to obtain. We're talking about $1 or $2, maybe cans, maybe free cans of beer that provided. Sometimes they would earn it. Sometimes they would turn to theft to steal it. It all depends on their on the severity of their alcoholism. Um, there was more fun also that was had with alcohol. Um, so I chose a lot of facts in my research, and a lot of them had to do with men and boys. Um, but don't let that steer you guys away from the fact that it could also help grown women and young girls as well. Like parental involvement. The more a parent is involved, the less likely the child will abuse alcohol. That's a known researched fact. Um, and on the contrary, the less a parent is involved, the more likely they are to abuse the alcohol and have it affect their future. A lack of community involvement, a lack of cultural involvement. Um, if they're lacked in community and culture, then they're lacked in the resources, they're lacked in um, They're lacked in the network of people who can account for them and look after them and let them know when they've fallen and then when they've slipped off the wagon. Um, and it all starts out in the youth stages, um, in the adolescent stages. The kids will learn by watching their parents. Their parents are involved in a stressful situation. Something happened at work. Something happened with their friends. Then they will turn to alcohol. The kids will see that. Kids' minds are like sponges. So then, when the kid encounters that same problem later on in life, they'll more likely turn to alcohol as well because they saw their parents do it. There's a psychological principle that I used that is not really common with items like this, but that is the social learning model. Now, social learning model goes like this. There's a social learning model that's adaptive to alcoholics and why people drink. Number one, alcohol makes them happy. Number two, they use alcohol to perhaps get out of an unpleasant situation. And number three, they drink or learn by doing or watching. As stated before, the kids are going to mimic their parents and their behaviors when there's often nothing else to do. Now, the psychological, those are in order. That's the social learning model in order. However, I use it in my own order, in order of importance to my culture. First, the topic is de-stressing. So obviously they would use the alcohol to de-stress from a negative situation. Second, they do so by watching their parents, watching other peers, other friends involved. And number three, after they drink, they learn that they feel good, they feel wonderful, and they don't want to ever give it up. And it's, unfortunately, in today's society, it's become a vicious cycle. They'll just repeat that social learning model and repeat that social learning model until, unfortunately, they're no longer. I want to foster the change, but in order for me to foster the change, I need to look at what kind of research has been done and what still needs to be done. Now, there's research that was done for Native American culture, but very little. There are other cultures involved in this research where African Americans, Asian Americans, and Caucasian Americans were the top three that were researched. But it's almost as if a tiny percentage, maybe 1 or 2% of the research was done, benefited the American Indian people. If those same researchers were to have continued and followed through with their research, they would see that some of the solutions that they used, some of the research that they used for the African Americans, the Asian Americans, and the Caucasian Americans are the same for those that are native to America. Some of the research that I found said that the youth intervention is where it starts. Because, as stated before in the social learning theory, it starts off early by them watching their parents. There's the official governmental Indian Health Services website has a running list of programs geared towards helping the youth, such as the Be the Change Youth Club and Boys and Girls Clubs in Indian country. Of all the research done that I concluded with all my facts, none were done with the White Mountain Apache tribe, but they were done with other tribal members, such as the Blackfoot tribe, the Sioux tribe, the Pueblo tribe, but that is the type. Like it could work in it's intertribal. It could work in any tribe. Many of the interventions that are used that are listed on the website can work with any tribe not just the ones listed on the website. There just has to be more follow through. Number two, there's got to be community involvement. Um, the more that the youth are involved within their culture, the more they're immersed in their culture, the less likely they are to turn to alcohol when stressful moments arise. They could turn to methods learned within their culture, perhaps traditional Indian dancing, perhaps taking up the woven arts, perhaps taking up the ceramic arts. And more importantly, there's a network of their peers, their parents, their grandparents, and other ancestors who maybe have been through this before that they'll be able to help them and potentially keep them out of trouble and potentially keep them out of going down the wrong path. Number three, in this day and age, social media and school are important to the youth. They could use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter pages, and they could have people gearing the websites to help the troubled youth. There could perhaps be a contact person that's on the page who could check in with the youth and provide resources if need be, if they've fallen off the wagon. The support staff from the school, the guidance counselors, the admin, the principals, the vice principals, dean of students, maybe a homeschool liaison could follow through, be a positive face and positive influence during the stressful times as well. And again, the most important aspect of all of this is not just doing all that I propose to do, but following through. Do quarterly annual involvements every 4 months. Every checkups on the tribe, on the affected communities, and see what's going on. If there's a positive increase, and continue to increase all of the youth intervention strategies, all of the community involvement, all of the social media aspects, and continue to increase those. If I find that it's not working, then I'm going to back off a little bit, reevaluate, and then attack it with other methods that I have proposed. I know that it's going to achieve the desired impact because I'm going to follow through. I have contacts. I have a network of people that could help me out, help me to determine that. And again, and if I determine it's not working, or we determine that it's not working, then I'm going to step back, reevaluate, and reattack it with more gusto. Again, this is Anthony Palmer in the Family Psychology class, and I hope to de-stress my tribe and my culture and other Indian cultures in ways that do not involve alcohol, so that the youth can grow up to be an integral part of their society. Signing off. Good night.